Welcome, everybody, to the August 3rd Spokane City Council study session. And we've got a packed agenda, and we've got a minimum number of council members, but nonetheless, we've got some really good information coming our way. And first up would be the QR2 economic report with Dr. Patrick Jones. Dr. Jones, welcome. And we have you scheduled for 45 minutes.
Okay.
Or less, up to you.
I think that'll be enough, Council Member Kinnear, if not more than enough. So what we like to do, as we always do, is start with a different view of population. And since we last met, the state of Washington has released its estimates for this year, and thought that would be, I don't know who's doing that.
We could do full screen here, but I'm not seeing that option. Go ahead.
We can get full screen or not?
1 second. Let me give it.
Thought it would be interesting for you to see, because I think there's some implications for the city of Spokane with the recent update and then trying to create a trend. That looks good.
Yeah.
That is full screen.
Okay, so do we? There we go. Okay. All right, so as we've done before, we're going to look at population, we're going to look at employment, we're going to look at construction from the permitting side, and then we'll end up by looking at sort of the bottom line for the city, looking at revenues. Okay, what we see in the 2023 estimates from Office of Financial Management is a population number for the city of 233,000, give or take, which is a 0.8% year-over-year growth. And that's about in line with what we've seen over the past 5 years. You can see we put down there the city has grown per year at a 0.7% rate. The state and the county have grown about 50% faster than that, though, than the city of Spokane. And so if we were to just look at these are growth rates. The city is in this vermilion or red, the county is in yellow, and the state is in green. And basically, all I'm asking you to do is confirm that that red line is considerably below the yellow line and the green line, which says the state of Washington and the county. So we have certainly grown, but there has been some comment in the press about Spokane being a boomtown. I don't know whether that applies to the city of Spokane. We might say it applies to the general county or certainly the general area. But I would be reluctant to call the city of Spokane a boomtown. That said, the U.S. has been growing recently more slowly than the city. So we're still growing faster than the country as a whole. I think it's really interesting to dissect a little bit of that gain and find out where it's coming from. And this is a graph that shows total population due to variety of sources and the component of that that's attributable to what we call net in-migration, or in other words, the balance of those who have moved in over those who have moved out. And for Spokane, with 1 year's exception, that's always been positive. And so the distance between the overall general population gain and the in-migration number is then what we call natural increase, or more births than more deaths. And back in the day, in the 50s and the 60s, that was the most significant part of the population growth of most communities in America as the baby boom came into being. Over time, especially for the Western cities, what we find is that net in-migration is really the driver of population growth. So how attractive we are from a variety of dimensions to people from other places determines that, both abroad and in domestic migration. So you'll see that for the last 2 or 3 years, going back to maybe 2020, these lines are now coincident. In other words, there's no gap and there's no attributable gain to the natural increase. So births more or less equal deaths in this is Spokane County, by the way. So all the gain we're getting, and it was a small gain in between 2023 and 2022 of 3,900, is attributable to people moving in. So it's a little bit different in communities in the Columbia Basin, and it's different yet if we look at places like Walla Walla and Wenatchee, but this is Spokane.
Dr. Jones, can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So if we were to see a decline then in in-migration, would we see a decline in our population?
We could.
Births equal deaths?
We could, yeah. What the striking example of that is back in the early to mid 80s when we actually had declines in our population, and that was due to out-migration.
Okay.
Hasn't happened since. So I'd be reluctant to predict that it's going to happen anytime soon, but we just need to be mindful of where the population growth is coming.
Do you know what contributed to that in the 80s? Why that took place?
Sure. As a family business owner, we had one of the worst downturns in our economic history, and people decided they were going to seek employment elsewhere.
Okay.
The third slide here is something I just wanted to point out to you, that that the city's share of the county total is declining, as you might expect if you saw those growth rates that vary on that first slide. And so these are what you've seen before. This is where we were at the start of the century, a little less than 200,000, and now we're up at 233,000. So we've grown. But as a share of the total population in the county, the city's footprint, if you will, is declining. And so at the turn of the century, the city took about 40%, 47% of all the people in the county, and currently we're at 42%, so 47 to 42 in a couple decades. And I don't think I did a real exact calculation here, but I think which we can do. It's pretty clear that if this trend continues, by the end of the decade, the city of Spokane will have a share in the 40 to 41% range of the county. So the county is growing elsewhere is the bottom line. Not that the city's not growing, but it's growing at a much slower rate than elsewhere.
So, Dr. Jones, when you say county, are you counting cities within the county, such as City of Spokane Valley?
Right.
So you're not just counting
No,
the
not just.
unincorporated, it's
Correct.
not the unincorporated county.
Yeah, Council President Kinnear, exactly right. We're counting the totality of all the people, which recently was 550,000, almost 551,000.
Okay.
Just as an FYI, the fastest growing communities from 23 to 22 were number 1, Deer Park, and number 2, Liberty Lake, so on the outskirts.
Okay.
And then before I turn the podium over to my colleague, Professor Cullen, I just wanted to show you a slide that I've had in front of you for a while, and I hope it's interesting. This is one way of measuring in-migration. It's a way of measuring in-migration from other states. Measuring in-migration from within the state is a little tricky. Not tricky, it just takes quite a bit of a delay to figure out, usually 3 years. This is somewhat instantaneous. We get these data every month from the Department of Licensing, so I thought it's worth sharing. And we go back here a couple years, and for the most recent quarter, which is January through March of this year, we had about 2,000 driver's license surrenders from out of state, which, as I note here in one of the bullets, that was less than 2022, which was less than 2021. So the trend of people moving in to Spokane County on a what we call a gross basis, because we're not measuring the trend of people moving out, has really been declining for several years. In fact, 2018 was the peak, pre-pandemic. That was the peak that people came to Spokane County from elsewhere. So kind of a surprise for me. Yes, Councilmember?
Dr. Jones, when do you anticipate that we will lose our status as the second largest city in the state?
Well, the good news there is Tacoma's kind of landlocked. So they don't have a lot of green space or a lot of land to build on. We think we've got issues. I think Tacoma also has some constraints. So I wouldn't hazard a guess. I think we can still cling to that number 2 spot for a while longer.
I only ask because I know Vancouver will be annexing a lot of land in cities around it, and they're experiencing explosive growth, but it's through annexation.
Yeah, through annex in Vancouver.
Vancouver, yes.
Yeah, well, currently Tacoma's number 3,
Right.
and I guess Vancouver, I'd have to check 4 or 5, but yeah.
Is there any way to track or measure the demographics of in-migration and out-migration, particularly economic demographics?
Yeah, that's something we'd love to do. I mean, there might be some private sources that do that, but what we use are public sources, and we've never seen that. We can infer by just looking at changes in age and demography over time what might be going on, because again, what is driving population differences in our community is people moving in and out, and not what we call natural increase or burst. I just wanted to point out that I always put this down, maybe it's more than curiosity for you, but the top contributing states, I just highlight 5. Typically, number 1 is California, but in this particular quarter, Idaho was number 1. So that might be interesting for people who think about the traffic going across state line. We don't know where in Idaho those folks came from. California's number 2, Oregon number 3, and I think I brought this up last time. Surprising to me has been Texas. Texas has been in the top 5 now for many different quarters that we've looked at. And I don't think too many people think of the Lone Star State as contributing too much to our population and culture, but the data say that it is. And then finally, we have Montana.
So the Utilities Department calls folks from the Southwest who come here water refugees.
Right.
And they
yes.
are coming here specifically because of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I will point out that in the prior versions of this, Arizona has been in the top 5. Yeah. Okay, so that's all for population once over lightly. I thought this would be of interest to you, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Cullen now. She'll go through the labor market, and then we'll pick up with some of the key sectors for the city of Spokane.
Awesome, well, thank you. Where's the slides here? And so again, this is the size of the labor force, adding in the most recent quarter. This does go through Q2, I believe. And so in this case, you can see the red line is the change, and the bars are the actual size of the labor force. We're growing again after the shock of the pandemic, so that's good, right? I wouldn't say growing, but perhaps we have returned to our normal cyclical behavior. You can see some ups and downs in those purple bars, of course, but we're back on track, right? And so my eyes are really bad, I apologize, I'm having some issues. So the labor force in that first quarter of 2023 is finally above, right, where it was the same quarter, or actually not just the same quarter before, but even pre-pandemic, right? So we finally recovered. The total civilian labor force now is up to over 114,000, so as of the first quarter. And I did check the numbers for the second quarter, and so yeah, we are up, which is good. Labor force is looking good. Now the number of jobs, this is total employment in this case. Again, the bars representing the actual numbers and the red line representing that change. And you can see the uptick in the red there, representing these 2 nice peaks here that we had in the last 2 quarters worth of data that we have. So things are looking good in terms of creating jobs, right? Q4 of 2022 was this peak here. So it was an all-time high. So we finally reached an all-time high of over 8,000, 108, I believe. So, and since Q1 of 21, right, we've been averaging around 2,000 more jobs per year. So, so we seem to have recovered from that shock of the pandemic and are settling into what I would like to call a new normal, right?
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So I think economists love to talk about new normals. When is a new normal now the normal? How do we define that? Because after the Great Recession, there was a lot of talk about new normals, and then suddenly it's normal, and now we're at new normal again. So.
Right, well, it just means the same thing. So a new normal means we've gone back to a normal. Does that make sense? So it's not that it's brand new, perhaps, but we're settling down. We're not seeing the fluctuations as much.
It's going to be consistent, is what you're saying.
Yes, if that's a way that.
So, Councilman Cathcart, I would say, that really comes into play when we talk about the normal unemployment rate. And we used to think it was 5%. Now it may be 4%. And that's a big deal if you're the Federal Reserve deciding on interest rate policy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, when we get to the next slide, you'll see. Unemployment, still falling, right? Well, look at that drop coming down here. And in this case, I forget, I have the city versus the county as well, right? And you can see they're trending very, very closely together. And so as of, it says, May unemployment rate is 3.0, and that's about where we're at as of the end of June as well. So we're around 3.0 for the city. This slide was prepared, based on first quarter, or based on May, I guess, but I've seen the June numbers. And the city is at 3, and that is below the state average of 3.2, and pretty close to the national average. Spokane Valley is down to 2.8, just to let you know.
So speaking of normals, so in the old days, full employment was anything 5% or below. Now we're at 3%.
Right.
So is that full employment?
We could be less than full employment. Does that make sense? Back to your intro econ, right? When we push below that threshold. So if true full employment is 4% and we're sitting at 3, that's what economists would call as less than. So we're below where we want to be. That means that we've got inflationary pressures, and
so
you're seeing that.
the change would be, is that the normal or the new normal?
Right. That's what the
going from
economists are
5 to
debating.
4. Okay.
Right. So unemployment is made up of the two. This is back to my intro econ, right? It's made up of structural and frictional unemployment. And the sum of those two make up that target, that full employment level that the Fed uses that Dr. Jones was talking about. And like I said, most economists nowadays have gone from 5 down to 4. But now we're asking in these 3s if maybe that's where full employment is. But definitely we're seeing really tight labor markets right now, right? So lots of places hiring, lots of places having trouble recruiting workers. So that does mean that we are beyond full employment, that we've pushed it. We're not at what I want as the natural level of unemployment. Does that make sense? Right. Yeah, so we're less than that, is what I would say. Definitely. And you're seeing that that's going to put pressure on wages. Wages are going to start to go up, and this competition for employees going on all over the place.
And then isn't that the opposite effect of what the Fed wants with inflation if we see wages going up like that, right?
Yep. No, that's a consequence of that too low of an unemployment rate.
they want to go up.
Yeah.
So they don't want inflation to take off again. We just got it back under control, right? So, yeah. And so just in summary, real quick, we've been growing, right? We're approaching or just past that 114,000 mark, right? Or those two peaks looked really nice, record high levels of employment. And then, like I said, the May and even the June unemployment rate for the city is similar to the county and below both the state and the national average. So things are really tight here in terms of our labor markets is what I would say.
So now you're going to see that those aggregate numbers that Dr. Cullen just went over reflected in the most important sectors of our economy. And it's pretty interesting. And these are ordered by largest to smallest. And they do not include government. So government in Spokane County is the second largest sector. It is a sector that has actually grown the least. In fact, I checked before we came over here right now. We are not at pre-pandemic levels in government, whether it's state, federal, or local in our community. That's not the case for the private sector, which is what we're showing you. So the largest sector, private sector, and the largest sector overall is healthcare and social assistance. And just note right here, you can see maybe briefly, these are slightly higher bars for the fourth quarter, and that's the most recent data we have, unfortunately. This is a 6-month lag in getting the numbers, than the fourth quarter in 2021 and the fourth quarter in 2020. Overall in 2022, for the year, we grew the county employment in this sector about 1,800. So that right now, this is the sort of the standing number we have for the year, 44,500. That is 19% of the total workforce, total employed workforce in the county. There's no community we know of that has 19% in healthcare and social assistance. This is an anomaly. And so to some degree, as our healthcare system goes, so goes the local economy, certainly in the labor force. As I note here, we're considerably above pre-pandemic levels by about 2,000. And in contrast to what some people think about healthcare, the healthcare sector, it's not the highest paying sector. It's about average. It's a real mix of occupations in there. And so you can see it's 60 versus 59.5. So number 2 sector is retailing. Spokane's always been a retail trade center. This had a recovery in 2021 that didn't really sustain itself in 2022. So you might see this over here. This is 26 plus change versus 27,000 for the same quarter in 2021. However, we're about equal to where we were in 2019, pre-pandemic. A little bit less in retailing than in 2022 than we were in 2019. The sector, as you, I'm sure, have seen from us before, doesn't pay the average wage that we see of Spokane for $59,500. Okay. Third largest sector, hospitality. And as we said before, this was the one that got hammered, and yet it's the one that has come back robustly. I think it certainly surprised me that it would see this kind of a return. So by the end of 2020, it was slightly over 15,000 in the sector, and now it's gone back up to 20,000 plus, almost 21,000. And it's definitely regained its pre-pandemic levels. So I think for anybody in Spokane, we'd have to regard that as a major success to see our hospitality business make this kind of a recovery.
Just a question. So the average wage is 26,000, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're comparing that against all jobs, not just this industry, right?
Right.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is there any data on what percentage of those jobs are part-time, three-quarter, full-time?
No, there is not. Outside of some studies, which we could try to track down for you, that wouldn't be specific to Spokane, but might be specific to the state or might be specific to a larger entity. But I think it's pretty clear that with that kind of a wage, the average work week is not 40 or close to 40 hours a week. It's probably down in the 20s to 30 or low 30s would be my guess.
Because that would be a $13. That would be a $13, and that's below our minimum wage in the state.
Exactly. Yeah. That would not work in the state as we know it.
Does that include their tips as well, or just their basic wage?
To the degree that tips are reported, they do.
Okay.
This is coming from wages that employers give to the unemployment insurance fund, and so they have to be reported to the employers. Okay, moving on. Manufacturing, a very key sector for every community. We all know, I think, of the reasons we like manufacturing. It usually pays high wages, and it has if there's short supply chains within a county, it has a large multiplier effect or economic impact effect. In Spokane, it is the 5th largest sector, the 4th largest sector, private sector. It's had a modest recovery, I'm labeling it, in 2022 from 2021, so that the fourth quarter count, which you see here, was higher than we saw the 2 prior years in the fourth quarter. However, the average employment for 2022 was still below the pre-pandemic level by a tad. And, it's our hope that we're going to see this change over 2023. Having said that, I think we have to recognize that this is probably currently the major sector of our economy that's most susceptible to automation, and we could have nice increases in sales and manufacturing, but not in the labor force. Yeah.
So am I reading this right, that we have fewer than 250 manufacturing jobs in the city of Spokane?
No.
Okay.
No, we have, that's reading 16,000 plus.
Okay. That was,
Yeah.
I saw the 250 over here.
Yeah, that's just the difference between 2022 and 2019. Now, since we don't have Boeing in our midst, the premium to be a manufacturing worker isn't nearly as big as it is statewide, and certainly as it is in Snohomish and King counties, where the average annual wage, just the average of all manufacturing workers, is in the 80s, and you throw in aerospace and it's in the hundreds plus. So this is reflecting the state of manufacturing types of businesses that we currently have in Spokane County. You see it's about a $4,000 premium to the overall average.
Would like Jubilant, Hollister Steer, would they be categorized under healthcare or manufacturing?
What companies?
Jubilant, Hollister Steer, pharmaceutical?
Believe it or not, that's categorized in a sector that I'm going to show you momentarily, and neither one.
Okay.
Okay, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so construction. You asked us to include this, and we have the last 2 or 3 iterations of this. It's the 6th largest sector, so the 5th largest private sector, and again, perhaps a surprise to everybody is that this has had a big comeback. So that the current number of 14,000 plus, you can see right here, the average for 2022 was considerably above the 2019 or pre-pandemic average. I have to confess, I was surprised to see this. There still may be a call by our construction companies saying we still don't have enough, but relative to 2019, we have quite a few more workers than we did in that year. You can see that it pays about the same as manufacturing jobs in our county, which might surprise people. Okay, professional and technical services. This is a large category. You might call it the knowledge workers, lawyers, accountants, architects, engineers, consultants, and biotechnology, i.e. Jubilant, Hollister Steer. So this, as we point out here, has had the largest percentage increase of all the sectors during the pandemic. And this is usually an urban sector. It's not a suburban sector. It's not a rural sector. It's pretty much an urban sector. So important for the city. So you can see by the end of last year, employment was 1,500, more than it had been at the end of 2020, and we were way above pre-pandemic levels. Here's the average annual wage. That's one of the reasons we like it, 80,000 plus. Versus the county average. And then finally, we'll look at finance and insurance. It's the 8th largest sector, private sector, 9th largest overall. Been a bit of a puzzle. It has declined in its workforce. So the banks, the insurance companies, credit unions don't have as many people across the counter in aggregate from you as before. Slightly higher than 2019, but not as high as it was actually in 2021 and 2022. Why this is important to the county? Not so much because of big numbers, but because of the average salary. This is the one sector in our community that pays 6 figures on average. So it'd be nice to see this grow. So to wrap up, we've basically turned the corner from the pandemic in all our sectors with the exception of manufacturing and retailing. It's just about the same. So in other words, have higher levels than 2019. Percentage terms, professional and technical services has been the big grower. In absolute terms, no surprise, it's been healthcare because that's our biggest sector. So I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Cullen, and she's going to talk about something dear to your hearts, permitting, and what the construction economy for the city looks like in some detail. So.
Alrighty, so as you can imagine, things are slowing down just a little bit. Those higher interest rates might be the cause of that. Residential building permits, single family, you can see a little bit lower. And in fact, if we look at the first half of 2023, I do have numbers through the end of June here. It's about 30% lower permitting activity than the same 2 quarters for the 2 previous years. So the first half of the 21 and first half of 20 as well, right? And so the new construction, it does seem to be strong, but still, like I said, relatively it's down a little bit. In 2022, there were 270 new single-family houses permitted, approximately the same as pre-pandemic. So there's not much growth since 18-19 in that permitting activity. And thinking over that time span, our population has continued to grow, but our permitting is not in the single-family realm. So that's just number of permits. And then if you look at multifamily, again, this is by number of units, not by permits. So this is number of apartments or townhouses or duplexes are all included in the multifamily. This is strong. So we are seeing a lot of growth, and maybe those housing prices are causing people to be dislocated or to opt into more multifamily dwellings. And so we're seeing strong construction or permitting in the multifamily. And so annual permits in 2022 nearly matched 2021. With 21, there was an immediate spike after the pandemic from that pent-up demand, right? And so now there's more than the pre-pandemic level amount of multifamily. You can see the first half of the year is those last 2 bars. And so you can see that they're still looking good. And so in addition, I did want to point out, I think I mentioned this last time, in addition to new units, we do have conversion of units too. So places that are getting converted to multifamily, either from single family or from some other form of use. It gets converted. So we do have some of that going on as well. So up to like 34, they call this a change in use status. So we are seeing, in terms of the permitting, and more units for multifamily becoming available, which is a good sign. Then in terms of what kind of houses and what is the value of these houses, we can infer this is just from the permitted value. This does not reflect the sale price. Ultimately, we won't know that. But so in terms of the single-family residence, you can see that the permitting value continues to rise. That blue line there is showing that upward trend over time, right? Up to a new high of about 416,000, right? 417,000 that we see in the first quarter of this year. That's the average permitted value. So that's the total value then divided by the number of permits. For these are single families still. And so the average value of permitted values, it's still above, so you can see that rising trend, right? And then since Q2, the average value of permitted family residence has increased 12%. So since 2020, so same quarter, 2020, we're up 12%.
And is that adjusted for like inflation and?
No, that's nominal. Those are nominal. And then, I know you guys are interested in this. I didn't have the data when we made the slide deck. The data came in, people were on vacation and such. But I recently, back of the envelope calculation here. So in terms of those permanent values for our single-family houses, they ranged from a minimum of $22,000. We're starting to see tiny homes. And I think that is cool. Yeah, I would say in the first half of the year, there were probably about 5 tiny homes ranging from 22 up to over 100,000 for these, what they were called tiny homes. I thought that was really neat to start tracking that. Up to a max of 2.2 million. The median was 346. So the median value, yeah, right around average, right? What you would think. And then the 99% of them, there were some outliers, like that 2.2 million is statistically an outlier. So if we adjust for the outliers, 99% of them, they fell between a range of 108 to 608. So, and those tiny homes registered as outliers, right? Kind of, that's why they came onto my radar. So most housing, I would say, in the first half of of 2023 is between that 108 to 608 with a mean of 346. So just so you know what kind of new houses are being permitted. And then the multifamily is a little trickier, right? Because there's a lot of heterogeneity in these. And in fact, I have to confess, Council Member Cathcart, we did try to separate out the private and the public. It's really much more challenging because you've got the applicant name and then the owner name. And we have to try and determine which is a private venture, which is a public venture. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I tried to task my interns on it. If we do come up with a resolution, we're working on it. Okay. I'll get you those. We'll send you an email. So we tried. But anyways, they're harder to do because you do have projects that are, duplexes and apartment buildings and townhomes and all kinds of a wider variety, a lot of heterogeneity in this group. But you can see it's pretty much interestingly leveled off. And so what is it? Just under 160,000 per unit to build a new unit. That's not permit, that's unit of multifamily. So that's the kind of multifamily on average that was permitted mostly in the first half of this year, I would say. Because this was the last 4 quarters, right? Leveling off around 160. Just for reference, that is up a little. The previous 5 quarters were around, 120. So we're up from about 120 to 160, you can see, in terms of the value of the multifamily. And then in terms of other construction, non-residential permit, again, if you think that the multifamily was heterogeneous or had a lot of heterogeneity, this is very heterogeneous, lots of different projects going on, which is good, right? So we are still seeing a lot of total non-residential permits not falling off too much, right? In this case. And so strong cyclical patterns as normal, right? And non-residential permits through the first 6 months of the year, right, are slightly below the first 6 months of the past 2 years, but I don't think it's that much to be concerned about. Only a fewer permits, right, in terms of this. And so it's still pretty strong. And then also in terms of the value, when you go to the next slide, again, you see these interesting things going on where we have these going up. And so what did I find here? Let me refresh my memory on this slide. So this includes all, again, a wide variety of things. So we are seeing fewer permits the first 6 months. Half the value. Not the permits are still the same, but the value is off. We're not seeing as big projects. Remodels and additions, just to point this out, do make up a bulk of this permitting activity. There's a lot of remodeling and additions going on, not necessarily brand new construction. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And so overall, it's still a good variety of projects that we're seeing and a good variety of value overall. Any questions? If not, I will let Dr. Jones bring us home.
Do you want to say anything?
Oh,
Are you good?
No. I think I said most of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To save time.
For the record. So getting to the bottom line here of this, at least from the CFO's perspective, is looking at quarterly taxable retail sales. We don't have Q1 numbers on the slide, but since we've sent these over to the city. They have come out. But let's just consider the fourth quarter of last year, pretty tepid, just less than a 1% increase year over year. And of course, fourth quarter is in most years the most important quarter of the year for retail sales. We are, however, much higher with that number, 1.8 billion with a B, than we were pre-pandemic, which was 1.5 billion. And as we wrote, as we sent this over, that Q1 is going to be probably low single digit. That has been confirmed. We got, I don't know if lucky or just good intuition. For the first quarter of this year, it's 2.7% year over year. So things are slowing down. I just also want to point out to you that somewhat in line with the population growth rate, we've seen the decline, and this is with the orange line, of the growth rate in Spokane City's taxable retail sales to that point right there, 0.8%. So right now, the city's taxable retail sales are coming in at a slower rate than the county overall, everything, and the state of Washington. So we've got to keep that in mind. Yeah.
And maybe you'll get to this, but do you have an outlook as to where this is taking us and how long we're going to be there?
Next slide. Good, you set me up well. Overall, though, for the year, it wasn't a bad year. A little less than 5%, 4.6%. So I just want to point out that the correlation of basically these data points, these lines between the state of Washington and the city of Spokane is quite high. So I use that to sort of get a sense of where we might be as a city, because we do have a forecast for the state. Okay, so here's the states, and the state publishes their data through at least the Economic Forecast Council very quickly. And probably since we've done this, we've gotten the June numbers out. But you can see since the start of the year, it's gone up and then down, up and down, up and down. But generally in this 2 to 7% range, as opposed to what we saw here during the pandemic or immediately, well, yeah, we still call that pandemic, where we were way in the double digits. So we're returning to normal. And the average for the state for January through May is about 4%. So what's the state then forecasting? And since we last met, we have a new forecast from the Economic and Research Forecast Council, or Revenue Forecast Council. And we just show two items of there. One is income, and the other is revenues. So income is important because it drives all consumption, and it drives construction as well, if we have more money in our pocket. And personal income is what we call it in economics, is highly correlated in Spokane with personal income in the state. And so here's the calendar years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 2022 is obviously behind us, but they actually, the numbers are still coming in and being sorted. They revised that number, that percentage growth down a little bit, I think from 2.5% to 2.3%. On the other hand, for this year, the income levels went up a little bit from, I want to say 4.6 or 4.7% to 4.8%. And yet in calendar year next year, 2024, came down just by a little bit. So not a lot of change, but just look at this range that we're talking about. Income growth, this is pre-inflation. So what we call real income growth would be negative. So we got to keep that in mind. Although I think for 2024, given the way the Fed is seeming to have success, that could very well be a positive number.
So, Dr. Jones, so when you account for real income growth and accounting for inflation, you're saying that incomes have gone down, have reduced?
Yeah, if you look at an inflation rate of 8% and a income growth of 4 to 5%, it's clear that it's going to be a negative number.
Yeah.
So constituents are losing personal income, government's losing sales tax and other revenue sources.
Yeah.
Everybody's losing.
Well, it's a question of whether the government works in the same framework of inflation-adjusted thinking. So have your costs gone up, municipal costs gone up by the inflation rate?
Yes.
If they have, then yeah, you're seeing.
We're hearing above the inflation rate.
Okay. Then what you're having is what consumers will face too then, which is a loss in real or adjusted income. That should stop though in 2024 if we're seeing an inflation rate. It may not get down to 2%, but I think most economists think it'll get down to 3.5% and certainly no more than 4%. So, okay, just a couple last slides then. The general fund of Washington is also forecasted and dramatic increases in the general fund. These are fiscal years, so July through June, ending in 2021, ending in 2022. You see these were in the teens. And then we hit the year that just ended, where the current forecast is a little higher than it was, 2.3%, so a dramatic drop in revenues for the state. And then the state revised their revenues up from negative, and these are nominal numbers, by the way, up from negative growth to no growth in the current fiscal year we're in, and then rebounding in the next fiscal year, which starts in 11 months. So we might think that would characterize the city of Spokane. I just want you to keep that as a framework. There are differences, but we correlate pretty well with the state. We're a little below the state too. So second bullet, I think I've already said that. We're off to a 2.7% year-over-year growth rate in the first quarter. We'll see whether this continues on in the city for Q2 through Q4. And for fiscal year 24, in other words, the 12-month period we just started, the state is assuming zero growth to its general fund, and we might consider something close to that for the city. That is all we had. I guess, Council President Kinnear, we did take closer to 45 minutes, but apologize.
Actually, we got a late start, so you were right on.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Are there any last-minute questions? We know how to get in touch with you, so if we have them. Thanks very much. Appreciate you. All right, next up is police vehicle discussion. Tanya, and I imagine you have friends with you.
Wow.
Yes, thank you, council members, for this opportunity to give you an update on our police vehicles. That has definitely been a challenging concern to keep our officers on the street in working vehicles. So we have Major Olson here to give you an update and share some other information with you. Thanks.
Major Olson, thanks for sending the list of vehicles and who's assigned to them, what they're used for. That was helpful. Thank you.
More than welcome. And I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. Feel free. No PowerPoints, just some bullet points to talk
Well, this
about.
is a discussion, so we're going to hear
Please,
lots
lots of
from
questions.
us. Okay.
Please. Just to kind of update where we are, the order we placed last August, we still don't know. The 71 cars we checked out with Bud yesterday and still don't have an update on whether we're going to get any at all. Let me back up. We did get our 7 Mach-E's and our 2 diesel vehicles that were ordered. We've got those. Those have been assigned and are out in the street being used. But the 71 K8s, we do not have word on yet. I can say that the Spokane County Sheriff's Office ordered their K8s, but they didn't stipulate that they had to be hybrid, so they got internal combustion engines and they got all theirs already. So the fact that we're kind of limited really has impacted our ability to get cars. We just to kind of do historical, because I worked fleet from the time I made major back in, I think it was 2016, up through when Major McNabb took it, and that we've been behind our orders except for 2022 for a while. So we have not added any patrol cars to the fleet since 2021 when we got the last of the cars that were ordered in 2019. So there's 2 years we didn't place any orders for patrol cars. Right now we are looking at ordering, what we need is about 50 cars to be ordered in 2024. Well, this year for 2024. We have the 70 cars last year. That's making up for the cars we didn't order in 2020, 2021. So we appreciate the fact that we ordered them. We don't know what's going to happen with that order, whether Ford's going to cancel it or not. I'm hoping they don't cancel it, because if they do, yes, we have funding, but that was at that price. And if we have to reorder at the next price, we're going to lose numbers of vehicles just due to inflation. Does that make sense? To keep up with the cars, as you know, the fleet study said, and as Fleet did their study back in, I think it was 2017, back then we were supposed to be ordering 40 cars a year. Now we're to that 50 cars a year because we haven't kept up with that. So the fleet study recommends we order 40 to 50 cars a year. So we're asking funding to order 50 cars this year that we would receive theoretically in 2024. And that's where we're at for that. I'm looking also for a little grace in that order, that when we articulate that in the verbiage, we get a value blanket as opposed to specifically articulate what kind of cars. That will give us an ability to be flexible and nimble. So as an example, yesterday we just got word that there's a potential for us to be able to order the F-150 police package 4-wheel drive truck. So we may be coming back to you asking for the ability to order those, because right now the window is open. They're actually asking and saying, if you hurry, you can get some orders in for 2023 models of the truck.
Who drives the truck?
Right now, patrol officers do not, but we have checked around with other agencies, and we can allocate those out into patrol to supervisors and to corporals, and they're actually capable of having a shield because they're a crew cab. So we can put the shield in the back and transport prisoners with them. It limits the ability somewhat to store materials because you have a bed as opposed to an SUV, but they're still a usable patrol car, and quite honestly, we're desperate for cars.
So you'd rather have a truck that's not as flexible than wait for a regular car?
I would rather get a bird in the hand than a bird in the bush, is what I'm saying. To kind of illustrate that, we just ordered 3 used cars from Illinois. We purchased them because we're out of cars.
Okay.
Yes.
On the vehicles that you're talking about, the F-150s, could that be a replacement for some of the ones that we're waiting on, the 70 that have already been ordered?
Right. That's my suggestion is, if maybe we could supplant some of those K8s with this order, do that potentially, and maybe look at including those in the order for 2024.
Okay.
But if we, like I said, are able to just say we need to order police cars in the 2024 order and give it a number as opposed to specify, it'll give us the flexibility to do that when we're able to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then I have another question for you, and maybe you can touch on this. I've heard a lot of just anecdotal from different officers about we've had a lot of cars go out of commission the last several months, just accidents, things happen. And then this morning, I know there was a car chase, and it sounds like maybe multiple vehicles got damaged in that. And so what is our loss rate of vehicles? How do we measure that?
I don't know that we have a loss rate. I do have that number. I believe we lost 12 cars recently to excessive damage. I mean, they get to damage to the point where we can't repair them.
Okay.
And then even if these ones aren't excessively damaged, which I haven't got a picture or an assay of what the damage is, they're going to be out of commission for a little while. So that then puts us at crunch, because right now I believe we are reaching the capacity of, we don't have spares that we can put officers in.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the list you sent me. Cars used for volunteer service, these are my questions, volunteer services, academy training, and there was another one that I don't know what
Admin.
this is.
Was it admin?
It's probably admin, and there were a
Okay.
lot of them.
Yep.
And that you can't possibly have that many admins, so I was curious as to what it was.
So when you go to admin, that includes everything from lieutenants on up. So
Okay.
there actually are quite a few. I think there's 18 lieutenants-ish. And then you have the captains and, of course, the rest of the administrative staff.
Yeah, okay. And then what is volunteer services?
That is our explorers, our cadets, and our reserve officers. So they're actually officers that can take, our reserve officers can take out cars when they reach a certain level by themselves on the patrol. Our cadets go out and take low-level reports for us still.
Okay.
And, do those types of activities with those vehicles. And our senior volunteers actually use them as well, and they do like the mail runs, taking mail from the police department to City Hall, to the academy, to the precincts and such.
Okay. This is good information. I had no idea.
Yep.
And then we had, academy training. Did you cover that?
Academy, I mean, those are the cars that we use, everything from to literally EVOC training, our emergency vehicle operators course. They got to have cars to go out and drive there, to pit cars, which are kept because we put reinforced bumpers on them so we can practice the pit maneuver, which is a intervention technique to try to stop pursuits. We have cars used for night scenes, which, officers learn how to make traffic stops. They have to have a police car to get used to all the controls and the lights and making stops on other vehicles. So they're literally made for that. There's some vehicles assigned to the academy staff, like we have a lieutenant out there, and I believe the sergeant also has, the sergeants there have take-home cars as well, due to the fact that they're constantly working different shifts. And there's 1 to 2 truck-type vehicles for moving things around the academy. I mean, they got to move, barricades around or whatever it is that they need, a bigger vehicle more than like a SUV or a car can handle.
So when we talk about take-home vehicles and how important it is for recruiting and for some of the folks who on patrol, is it a concern of the volunteer services or others that they need take-home as well, or?
The volunteers don't take home cars.
So, I know, but
Yep.
a lot of folks don't take home cars.
Right.
Which group is it most important to have take-home cars?
So it would be right now, the largest number of people impacted by that are patrol officers.
Okay,
Because our detectives, because they're subject to call-outs, they have cars. So it's really our patrol officers that don't have take-home cars. That's the group that it impacts the most.
and how many are they? How many?
How many patrol officers are? There's 154 people assigned to patrol right now.
Okay,
Or supposed to be. That's what the plan is designed for right now. I think we're in the 140s range.
okay. And so there aren't 150 cars that they could take home?
Correct. So, like I said, the vehicle plan from years ago was to add 40 cars per year. We were averaging like maybe 22, so we were falling behind. And then a couple years we didn't order, so we got really behind, which last year we came and were allowed to order 71 cars to help make up that difference. And we're trying to continue down the road. The 50 vehicles that I'm asking for that we need does not enhance the take-home car program much. That really just gets us to where we have trying to make up cars and get the fleet up to where we have cars for the officers to respond to calls.
Just a little bit of history, because you and I were both there at the same time,
Yep.
and the administration at the time, that's where they cut back.
Yep.
And so, just to let everybody know, that was not a council decision, that was an administrative decision.
We're still feeling that.
And you're
The
still
last
feeling
time
it.
we,
Yeah.
made the big order was in 2019, where we had money from a SIP loan, which was our normal fleet
Mm-hmm.
funding source of whatever amount that was. But then the administration gave us an extra $1 million, and that's when that was our last
Yeah.
significant order.
Yeah.
So are there other questions?
Other questions? Go ahead.
Well, I'll just ask, have we updated the take-home police car policy? What does that look like?
There is a take-home vehicle policy. We have looked at it recently at exec staff to see if there's any modifications. Are you looking for something specific?
No, I
'Cause-
just want to, just the last time it was reviewed.
Yes.
So-
I would say yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
the way I understand it, it's 30 miles from the city line.
That's my understanding as well.
That takes you almost to Idaho.
It can.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have to go back and look at the policy now to see if there was at one point, you can't take it into Idaho, so you had to park there and get a different vehicle. So I'd have to go back to see where that is.
I think we need to revisit that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Well, that's only one way.
But that is not outside what industry standard is. And we did that research and looked at what it was through the study that was conducted for us. So we can definitely look at what needs to occur along those guidelines.
I'm just wondering if we are potentially going to be able to move more into a take-home vehicle program, if we should adopt something into code that just makes that, how that would operate clear, and clarify some of those things.
It's more
I'm-
admin.
Versus at the whim of the
Help me with that
administration.
again. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm assuming right now it's an internal policy, which means it
Yes.
can be changed at any time. And I'm just wondering if that's something that we should adopt into the SMC if we're going to create an actual take-home policy for our officers.
Well, we currently have a take-home vehicle policy. Obviously, policies is a living document because they are subject to change when laws change and such. We are constantly revising policies. And that is something that, we can take into advisement. Codifying it would make it really, I would say, clunky in the sense of,
I guess I was thinking about it
ordinances.
from the point of view of creating certainty for recruits and officers and knowing that this is a program that's going to stay. It's not, here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
that-
that was my thought
Right.
process on that.
And there's, the logistics behind how that works, but yes.
Yeah.
I want to give a plug. I have spoken with our fleet manager, Dan Hayes, and the plug for the electric vehicles. We have, like I said, instituted these electric vehicles. We are finding niches for them to work. Electric vehicles aren't ready for patrol use yet, but we are finding within the realm of the admin cars and investigative cars, they are working, and we are trying to find ways to make them work. He has actually stated that in some levels they are preferable over the ICE engines for certain applications. So when I come before you and say what I'd like to do is, as we move forward and if we are allowed to order the cars, which is sooner as opposed to later, because that ordering window starts in October, so we would need to move this forward to get spending authorization, which is a whole nother challenge, which will be addressed by others. We would like to make that kind of like a value blanket so that we can just be nimble and get the cars ordered to include admin cars and patrol vehicles and a mix thereof. So we're not locked into it has to be a specific K8 model with these specs, because that really is limiting with the supply and demand issues that we're having in the vehicles. It makes it really hard. If we had that currently in these cars, these the F-150s, as we found out, are open to order, we could switch that around and have a greater likelihood of getting them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you guys or Fleet has the details on that you could send us, we could just start looking at that now. If the window's
Yep.
in October, just so it's not a last minute
Right.
decision.
We'll definitely get something into your hands to make that as possible, as easy as possible.
We also talked about phasing in take-home cars.
Yep.
And so
If
if you have a plan, let us know what that is.
So basically, if we ordered the 50 and talking to our fleet manager, that would help us get there. But really, we just need to increase the number of cars that we're ordering. And we're looking at that. If with 50, we could probably slightly expand the number of cars that are take home, as long as we don't lose any more cars for other reasons,
Like crashes.
crashes.
Okay.
Or aging out, because right now the numbers we're driving about 4 million miles a year, which ages out 40 cars per year. So it's a pretty big attrition rate.
What's the ratio of cars in versus cars out? So do you ever surplus cars?
Absolutely, we can, and we look at it economically, right? So we'll do that with either a car's wrecked, is it worth fixing? And I'll tell you right now, they come through me. They were going through Major McNabb, but we have switched roles. So we got to look at, is the car worth fixing? We'll probably spend a little more right now to fix a car than we would have, say, 5 years ago, because we need the car. And a certainty, even if it costs more to get it fixed, it's a car. So we'll phase out those ones that are wrecked to the point of beyond repair, practical repair. And when we get a car that just costs too much, we're not aging out many right now because we are in dire straits. Like I said, we literally bought 3 used cars from law enforcement agencies back east with 70,000 miles on them because we need cars to get officers to 911 calls.
Okay. More questions?
I'm sure,
Comments?
like I said, Director Wallace will want to speak, and I'll be right here for follow-ups if you have them.
Thank you.
And If you want, I can try to get some language as far as what we look for in this, if we're finding able to, get the funding straightened out. As the request becomes before you, we'll have the language proposed to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay.
Tanya next.
I think so. Yes, you are next.
Yeah.
Sorry, I spaced out for a minute. So budget update with Tonya Wallace. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, council members. I just have a few slides that really helps facilitate my discussion. So this is just a brief overview of where we are. This is very important, and I appreciate all of you have been part of those joint meetings that I think have been very beneficial and definitely a different process than what the city has historically done. So just 3 basic things in 15 minutes is kind of where we're at right now. We are at the sausage making phase of the budget, and you're starting to see some of the details of what goes into making that treat. We have started these joint meetings, so I'm just going to give a brief update of what has occurred in July with those brief meetings, and then some of the next steps. So where we are right now, we have a target general fund operating deficit of 20 million. That is a target. Just to put it in perspective, last year in June when we presented the trial budget for 2023, it was $22 million. So starting with deficits is a very common thing. It's more of what causes the deficit, because how you address it takes a different approach depending on what's driving it. So yes, this $20 million is very different than last year's $20 million, so we're taking a different approach. Revenue expenditure growth right now is 3.1%. Our 10-year historical actual average growth rate has 3.8. So this does take into some consideration of a slowdown. Expenditure growth. Now, this is also very, very different. This is probably the biggest single different factor than what we've had in the past. We've got expenditure growth at 11.8. 2 biggest drivers of that, personnel, and you heard Dr. Jones talk a little bit about the wage pressures. Well, we are a municipal corporation. We experience those as well in order to retain and attract employees in this labor market. And the second big thing, inflation. As you heard from police, for example, fuel prices are, again, we heard on this morning, fuel prices are back on the rise. That was a huge impact in 22, has continued into 23, even with a small dip, but it's back on the rise. So those are the 2 big drivers of that expenditure growth. Now, what that includes, it does include, unlike in the past few budgets that we've done, it includes all the collective bargaining changes. In this last week, we did run in all of the guild changes, so those are all freshly updated, as well as a thorough review of their overtime add to pays, both on police and fire. Placeholders are included for the internal services. We have a contract with a company that is reviewing all of the internal services because those are allocated out to all the paying departments and funds. And they are also looking at internal service funds, which are simply internal services accounted for in another fund, but they're still internal services. So for the first time, we're having the contract company look at both of those aspects. And we have yet to receive that information. That's usually something that does come a little later and then goes into this sausage-making phase that we're in. Revised police and fire overtime and add to pays have now been included. They were not in the last meeting that we've had jointly, so they have. And every week when we get data, it's updated. When we get insurance renewals, when we get like the internal service numbers, it's updated. So this is a time when these numbers change often. What it does not include, it does not include the 1% property tax increase. Additional election services. So we have a small placeholder in there, but if there are additional elections that we may incur in '24, those are not included. So we need to just have that awareness and make sure that we have a plan for that. Public safety equipment beyond what we have the ability to cash fund is not included. You just heard the biggest ask of police on public safety equipment, and then fire, it has a capital improvement plan that is still under study. So that will come out with what that cost might be. And some of the allocation increases, those are not included in there as well. And then personnel savings from vacancies. We usually do a very robust analysis of all the vacant positions, and then we discount the budget, or we pull some of the budget back, because obviously if a position is going to be vacant, we look at the hiring time, we won't budget for it if it's not going to be there. So that process is underway now. So from our joint meetings, this is the team up there. There's the mayor's leadership team along with the director of management and budget, and then the city council budget committee along with the city council budget director is included in that group. So three weeks that we've been doing this, July 14th, those are some of the big highlights there, really how communication is and team expectations. We did a first review of the general fund as a summary of where we were at that time. We agreed that the focus is going to be on our core services and making sure that we're doing them as effectively and efficiently as possible. We identified some of the key challenges in addition to how we got to where we're at. Certainly homelessness, public safety equipment, and public safety facilities are going to be some of the biggest challenges that we have. And then we did have some experts that gave us a little bit of education on levy lid lifts. You might have all already seen the primaries. There were at least 2 jurisdictions that had bond levies. They overwhelmingly passed. And then we had 4 jurisdictions that had levy lid lifts. 2 passed, 2 did not. At least right now, it's not certified, but. So that is on the rise across Washington and across the nation. You're going to see a lot more discussion around that. July 21st, some of the highlights there were some talking about in 23, how we start setting the tones, and there are some administrative edicts that are going out. Hiring freeze, controls on anything over 100,000. So that is in process and communication has already taken place. High-level revenue and expenditure options for 24. We did look at some revenue options. There's a variety of tools and levers that we can pull, and we did put some tentative dollar ranges around each of those levers. And then a desire to move the adoption of the budget from December to November under the circumstances and the changes that are happening at the city council level. July 28th, last week, was skipped to give an opportunity for staff to complete a detailed review of police and fire personnel and run those into the systems. And also for the City Council's Director of Budget to also take a very detailed review and understanding of some of the revenue estimates that are in the system right now. And that has occurred. So next steps, establish a regular communication plan to keep everybody informed. And like I just mentioned, that communication for certainly the 2023 edicts, as well as the budget situation that we have, that communication has taken place this week. So we're working through all the steps and tasks there. Working through to establish an efficient and objective process in managing the 2023 edicts. And met with all accounting managers and began scheduling department meetings, I say as needed. The accounting managers really are going to play a very pivotal role. They always have. They started the process with departments back in May. So we are empowering them to start these conversations. Many of them have started the conversations back with the departments, and they are very aware. We're keeping the accounting managers informed, at least on a weekly, if almost not daily basis of what is going on. So we've asked them, work with your departments. If you have a formal meeting of some kind and need more information, please let us know, and then we will spend that energy and that time. But they have a very good working relationship with departments, so they're empowered, they're cut loose, they're working. Preparing more global options for discussion with the joint budget team. Those are going to be some high-level discussions, and we have our next meeting tomorrow, so we will further those discussions as well. And we are also actively preparing the system, Questica, and a few other systems that we need to prepare for scenarios, definitely scenario management and inclusion of a 2025 detailed projection model. So staff is also actively working on that. We have some ideas, we have some testing to do, but that is what we're working on at this time.
Council members, questions?
Could you go back to that slide, Tanya, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going to start with the first one with the communication plan. So we had been asking that the budget and administration be working with their departments around the budget. And so I guess I'm a little disappointed that there isn't already a communication plan in place as to be having those conversations. Here he comes. Come on down, Garrett.
I'll step aside.
And then the next bullet point, the edits just went out. You're just trying to establish an objective process. Those went out and you don't have a process yet of how they're going to be objective. I'm lost. Which came first, chicken or the egg on this one? So,
All right, well, I'll start with the communication plan. So yesterday, communication went out. We had a department head meeting in person. I was able to communicate with what the efficiencies that were taken in place and effective starting yesterday, moving forward for 2023. And then we also sent out that focus list budget document that will be updated, and that is the communication plan of then what comes out of our joint meetings, communications to the department heads, and then also the additional expectations of what we're going to see in 2023. So to give you an example, so yesterday I communicated, of course, a system-wide, city-wide hiring freeze for the remainder of 2023 on vacant or soon-to-be vacant positions, with a couple of different exceptions, because that is just kind of an easy cutoff. You just say, we're not going to hire. We need to dig deeper into that. And again, it is included in that as whether there's an immediate threat to health and safety of this community. I mean, that is our primary core service within this organization. Second, is there a revenue component to it? And then also there's an efficiency component to that. If somebody can justify, and we're able to verify the numbers, if we hire X amount of these employees, then on this side, it saves us X percentage on the overtime line item. We have to have that evaluation. Now, we'll also be communicating with the department heads, because this was just the initial of the process in which those will be evaluated. We'll have two subcommittee teams. Again, I don't think it's fair in a one-off scenario to have somebody to come to my office and justify their vacancy. I think it needs to be in an orderly process. So whether that is twice a month, as a committee, we'll evaluate those vacancies and then communicate those back to the department heads on whether to hold off or move forward after evaluating either those revenue impacts or those efficiency impacts, as well as creating that committee around the contract piece, because that was another piece that we implemented yesterday. Any contract $100,000 or above will be evaluated. Is this a must-have? A want-to-have? Is this a renewal? Can this wait? Is there, again, those revenue or efficiency impacts as well? And then the third piece, of course, is to stop all of the non-essential spending, which would include travel and conferences. And I'm big for continuing education and those type of activities, but when we're looking at that core service and where we need to get to the end of the year, that is not an essential service that needs to happen at this point.
Are there any other areas that would be kind of under that category?
Well, when we look at non-essential, again, it's this is not a very good example, but this is an example you gave, is, we wanted to go out to, we're going to have a window washing service because we want we want a new service to help, clean some of our facilities. Well, is that an essential activity that needs to happen that is necessary at this point? Again, and it's going to be continued conversation because every department head, they're going to have their own idea of what essential and non-essential is. And again, I think that's why the communication piece is very important to this. And then we're also working on with these subcommittees, again, of the evaluation process. Then when we come back to our joint committees with the city council, there's already some interaction there and a part of that communication and how we evaluate those vacancies. So we don't come back to the overall meeting and it becomes a debate. It's a part of that process that we can justify and how we want to move forward as an organization.
And then could we get, as you approve or as the city approves hiring, any specific hiring options, could we, council, just get kind of a monthly update on what's been approved or how many hires have actually been made?
I've asked for every study session for them to come for 10 or 15 minutes just to give us an update.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
so
Okay.
then after we have the Friday meetings, then we'll come back, so we'll update on the vacancies at the working budget group. And then yes, Council President said, we're going to have an ongoing schedule on study session as well. So we'll be able to hit all angles, not only for staff, department heads, but also on the council side.
Councilmember Wilkerson, did you get all your questions answered?
That was one. So I guess it'll be a discussion. No surprise that council's always taking the 1% tax increase year after year. It runs about $600,000. No, it will not solve the budget problem, but it is additional resources. So just more discussions around that. And that preparing more global options for discussion, what does that mean?
Do you want to answer that question?
Thank you, Councilmember Wilkerson. I probably could have worded that a little better. It really means that to have the value that having you there at the joint session to focus on those higher policy levels that are citywide or at least specific to the general fund, like the 1%, is not something that we would necessarily charge the accounting managers to go out and talk with their departments. So while we have you, we want to have you focus, those focused discussions on the higher level policy items that could be applicable to everybody or the city or to a specific purpose like public safety equipment, as opposed to putting that down into the programs that the accounting managers are working on right now. So we're kind of parsing the workload out a little bit. But what comes back from the accounting managers, we will also be sharing with you. But if an accounting manager comes back and says, hey, that this particular department could not contract here, or they can defer this, well, we'll just report that to you. That does not seem to be a topic that we would necessarily bring to the work group the joint team to be discussing.
So I appreciate the joint conversations we're having with administration and council, but when will the administration actually have a plan? Will you want us to help develop the plan with you for the budget? What is your expectations? Because I know what mine are, is that administration will give us a budget, council will get the opportunity to review it, we will have some input into it. What is your next step? All that included, that's great, but do you anticipate a date of actually having a budget plan going forward?
Well, again, new guy coming in.
You got gray scared. I'm just
know.
asking the question.
I know.
No
I do-
slack for those.
I don't expect it either. I don't want to do what we did I don't want to have this surprise document that comes October 2nd with a line item budget that comes to the city council for you to review. The plan is that we're going to get there every step of the way, and we're going to have, in the decision making, it is going to have to be crucial, because if property tax, I'm going to throw out, whether it's traffic calming, this or that, is it on the table or is it off the table? And we come out of our joint discussions on some of these items, if there is flexibility or there is an option, or yes, look into that scenario, because the plan is going to be very fluid. I've done enough smaller budget, whether it's a $100 budget or a $100 million budget, it's the same principle. It's a very dynamic plan that's not going to be done behind doors. We have to continue to work together and build it together, because we do have something that we need to work on. We have a structural gap. And I also reached out yesterday after we met with the department heads to each of the major bargaining unit presidents. So 270, M&P, the Police Guild, and then also Local 29, as far as their collaboration in telling them where we're at today, how we're going to have to work together, and how we're going to continue the sustainability into 2024 and beyond. And got all receptive, very positive comments of also wanting to be a part of that discussion, because I wanted to have them hear from me over the phone that we have a situation, we need to work on it, but I want them to be a part of that solution as well. And whether that's the city council or these other bargaining units, we have to do it together, because we don't have time to create, this balanced budget and then hand it over and then have the debate. We have to work on it together.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I would say my expectation, and I think I shared this in our last budget meeting, is that we do this every step of the way together, because otherwise there's no way we can actually get done by November. I mean, frankly, I don't know how we get done by December if we just have a budget that's thrown at us and we, haven't collaborated on it. Because I'm sorry, but $20 million deficit, which is what we're likely facing, is a pretty huge thing that we have to overcome. And there's going to be some incredibly difficult decisions that if we're not making them together, they're probably not getting made. So on that, the 1% was brought up, and obviously we'll debate that ad nauseum. I think just the mere fact that we're going to go to the ballot in February with big tax requests on a number of things should in itself negate us even considering the 1%. But that being said, we'll have those discussions later on. For the time being, I think everything does need to be on the table for the conversations, and then we can kind of start taking things off the table as we proceed. So, but the last thing is, I just want to thank you guys for reaching out to the unions, labor, and talking to them, because I think that's going to be a big part of this. The long-term solution is working with them to find some solutions for some of the changes that we may need to make long-term, and getting their buy-in on things like contracting out, or just maybe changing some processes that might be more costly, things like that. And so starting that conversation now, while maybe it'll make a small difference for 24, starting that process now could make a huge difference for 25. So.
And what was interesting yesterday in my conversations with, I would call the big four within the organization, is each and every single one of them all had the same comment about, yes, love to have the discussion. What is that fundamental core service that we need to be providing as a city? And again, it comes to that must-haves of the priorities and the expectations that the citizens expect from us. And those are the want-to-haves. It would be nice to have that service, but it doesn't necessarily need to happen now or could be delayed. And so there's common ground, I would say, from all labor groups of really focusing on what is that essential service as us as a municipality be bringing and providing to the citizens. So that was refreshing to hear, because we do need to really look at the basic fundamentals of what we need to do as an organization and provide, and then really rely on those priorities that the citizens are telling us.
So Garrett, you're going to chastise me about what I'm about to say, but nevertheless, here it goes. We've had a structural gap since 2006, and through 2008, when I first joined the city council as an assistant, structural gap. Every year, it was always, we're going to have about $6 million deficit. It wasn't 20 million, it was about 6. And every year we kind of go, yeah, right. And somehow Tim and Gavin got it all together, and boom, here it was. But they always had a plan. They always had something that we could look at. Everything was very transparent throughout the year. So back in, February, when we knew we were going to have a $20 million deficit, that's when things should have started moving and the alarm bells should have gone off. I feel like we're at the very last minute. I still want to see a plan. And it doesn't mean we can't work together on a plan, but something has to happen where we look at, okay, here's the plan, and here's what it's going to actually save us. So how does this all add up to 20 million? And I've heard from Matt that, Matt, could you come down, do you mind? That it is actually going to be more than 20 million. So we might be looking at 24 million. And I think that we need to be a little bit more.
Well, and we could probably keep adding to that too when you consider our
Yes.
fire capital needs, our
Yes.
police capital needs, I mean, it's
Yes,
endless.
and so I'm
so.
very concerned that there are no numbers assigned with all those items that we want to implement. And so even if it's a rough, a range, so this could save us between 1 and 5 million, this could save us between 10 and 12, whatever it is, but we're kind of shooting in the dark. We don't have a lot of the information because we don't have a plan, and that's what we keep asking for. Could you?
I just real quick, I'll touch on that. I mean, so I know that the administration, in conversations with Tanya, Jessica, Jake, Garrett, I know that that's the plan for these next meetings is kind of go down the line and look at these big ticket items. Is this something that there's appetite for within council and administration? Yes. Check it off the box, move down to the next one. No, check it off the box so we can get a number. Obviously, like you said, I mean, I'm a little bit worried that it's a little bit closer to 24 million now just because sales tax for July, or the August numbers, the July numbers are in now, and they're pretty bleak. I mean, so, I mean, we had Dr. Jones talking about how Q1 was bad. Q2 is much worse. And it's not looking good. I know Tanya has mentioned that, you know, with an uptick of activities that were going to be happening, Hoop Fest, Pick in the Park, Bloomsday, et cetera, well, those happened in prior years. So, I mean, even if we get an incremental gain, we're not going to get a substantial gain to catch up where we're at right now. So I have us coming in not only substantially less in our 2024 revenue numbers that we're projecting or that the administration has provided, but I also have 2023 coming in below its projected revenue number as well. So that could create another deficit in 2023. On top of the fact that we still haven't finished discussing about fire. So yes, I think we have to check all of the boxes of, you know, what are the big ticket items that we're going to cross off the list first. And I think obviously we go biggest dollar figures first and then move down the line in combination with what is the quickest and nimblest way to do those. So it's not just big ticket items. Say something is 2 million and another is 4 million. Say the 4 million costs or takes 18 months to implement. The 2 million takes 6 months. We've got to concentrate on the $2 million one at first and not waste a lot of time in the details and the minutia, especially for this group. I mean, as Garrett so nicely calls us, the number nerds can kind of deal with the details on that sort of stuff. But I think that's the approach that I think we've all said that we're going to go down, and that's where we're starting on Friday. But yeah, I mean, 20 million, 24 million. I mean, I don't know anywhere where we were at a $22 million deficit in 2023 budget. All I know is that when we looked at the prelim estimate and we got optimistic baseline and pessimistic, it was anywhere between like a $500,000 deficit to like a $5.3 million deficit. And I know it didn't include a lot of asks. Just like Tanya said, I mean, this doesn't have resource requests that are approved. This doesn't have capital. Even the property tax that we're at, yes, it doesn't include a 1%, but we're still pretty aggressive in the property tax increase that we're seeing. And it's not materializing this year as we're seeing. So even a lot of these numbers need to probably get scaled back, and that's where the deficit that you're going to see increase into that 24 million. The expense numbers, it's pretty much a lock of where we're at in terms of the labor side of things, because we know where we're spending out on labor. Just like Tanya said, Jessica and Jake have put those collective bargaining units contracts into the system, so they're spitting out the numbers that are going to be. Now, yes, we've got to be cognizant of the overtime costs and flux that out. But as it relates to most of our expenses, they're dialed in. The revenue numbers is what's going to be the big variable. And I know, as Councilmember Cathcart especially has said, we're on the decline, and we are on the decline. Yeah, if we look at a 5-year average yeah, that's one thing, but when we look at the trend that's going down, because we know 20 to 21 and 21 to 22 were big spikes up, 22 to 23 is going down, and 23 to 24 is likely to go down as well, just like Dr. Jones is implying in his presentation. So we need to be realistic on that side as well.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to be realistic because last year we balanced the budget, and in January, the budget was already busted. I mean, like by January 15th, SBOs were coming in for things that should have really been addressed in the prior year. So that is what I do not want us to have happen, just to be balanced on the paper, but in reality, we're still spiraling.
Council, just in my opinion, because I have done things differently in other places, the real key to success is collaborating and getting these agreements and decisions made so that we can create a plan. What I've observed truly at the city is that a plan does get created, but parts of it are not acceptable to both sides. One part or another is not acceptable to both sides. That is why we are taking a different approach. And Cathcart and I had early conversations to get to a different way of doing it, so that we can get decisions made, we can understand, and I mean true decisions made, like even on the 1%. What is it that is going to go into the plan that we're going to come out with? Now, certainly, it is the mayor's responsibility to give you a proposed budget. Our desired goal is that with these joint sessions, that there really aren't any surprises in what you get, so that your review process and evaluation of what she does propose is quick. That is the desired goal here. Because it is a challenge, and for different reasons, we have the deficit, which means a different fix is going to be applied, and it's not going to be just one fix. It's going to be many fixes. So in terms of the magnitude of the plan is going to be complex and multifaceted.
That must be a hot spot because everybody's just kind of moving around down there. I don't have any more questions.
All righty then. We are adjourned. We'll see you all back here August 21st for our committee meeting and budget session. We're adjourned. Don't go.